There is also a value around the product, so the way you deliver the product in logistics, the service, the way you keep the relationship with the clients, that's the element of value. So if you explain them this value, then they might realize and should realize, oh, okay, the price might be higher, but there is enough justification for the higher price. And they might even think, oh, that's a good deal, because actually the sum of the value you provide with your offering of your solution is maybe even higher than the price you put on the table. Working with clients, the various B2B companies, I see and admire how good and how professional they are with the way they design the product, the way they deliver the products. But then when I see how they approach the value extraction and also the benefit argumentation, this is usually weak or weaker. Welcome again on our series about magic B2B pricing formula. And today actually is the final episode of this series. So let's remind ourselves about the magic B2B formula. It reads like 3D plus 2C plus BA. So in the previous episodes, I explained in details the 3D element, 3D being the three-dimensional pricing logic. So 1D is for product pricing, the other D is for client pricing, and yet another D is for other pricing. That's why we have 3Ds. And then 2C is the two key control mechanism, and the first control mechanism is about managing price exceptions, and then the other one is about pricing analytics, so that you can monitor and track your pricing performance. And one could say, okay, if I have the logic and also the control mechanism, that's enough. I should be fine. And actually, yes, but there is one silent assumption with that with this pricing logic, which allows you to capture the value of your product and then share the part of the value with your clients using the client and other logic, that your clients, being the current clients, existing clients, and also or especially the new clients, they would understand the value you provide with your product or with your solution or with your service, whatever you provide to them. And in reality, actually, it's not the case. And why is it not the case? It's not the case because clients have the tendency to look at your offering through one dimension. It's not exactly 100% one dimension, and this one dimension being the pricing dimension. But if we simplify a bit, that's what happens very often, that clients have a tendency to look at the pricing, at the offering through the dimension, the major dimension being the pricing dimension. If that happens, then what are the consequences? Then they compare your offering with the alternative offering, the offering of your competition, and they look at the price level. And the prices are like from the lowest and a bit higher, and eventually the highest one. So like on the picture I'm showing, then what goes through the head of the clients? Once they see the lower prices, they just focus on the lower prices, because maybe if the offering, the product, the solution is the same or very similar, they could get it cheaper. And that very often that happens. Okay, but then if I were to illustrate that, if they see prices from this level to this level, they have the tendency to look down, to look at the levels which are lower in the lower spectrum of the pricing, and then very often they select something from the lower spectrum of the price levels. So that's what goes through the head of the clients, unless you show them, you remind them the other dimension of your offering, being the value dimension. Okay, and what's behind the value? And the value, this is something we actually covered in the previous episodes. So there might be value, additional value in your product. So let's give this or come back to this example of the pump. If the pump can manage the higher pressure, or has the longer lifetime, or maybe the maintenance is simpler, or sealing is better, that's the value in the product as such. But that might not be the only value you provide to the client, because the way you deliver the product, being the pump in this example, might be also different. You might serve the client in the way that you deliver on time, that they get what they exactly want, and then if this is repeat sales or repeat purchase, you make sure that it's always on time, it's exactly the same level of quality, the exact same level of the service. And if something happens, you help them solve the any issues, problems, and so on. So there is also a value around the product. So the way you deliver the product and logistics, the service, the way you even talk with the clients, you keep the relationship with the clients, that's the elements of value. And those elements of value you can capture, or you should have captured in the client and other dimension. So if you show them, explain them this value, then they might realize and should realize, oh, okay, the price might be higher, but there is enough justification for the higher price. And if the value you provide with the product, around the product, is high enough, they might even think, oh, that's a good deal, because actually the sum of the value you provide with your offering of your solution is maybe even higher than the price you wanted to charge, so they are happy that they just pay the price you put on the table. So if I were to illustrate those two different approaches or different ways of looking at pricing, one being one-dimensional on the left-hand side of my picture, being here, then through the head of the clients, the primary thought is, this is too high, I won't buy it, or if I were to buy it, the price would need to go down. Whereas if you add the other dimension, the value dimension, to the discussion, to the argumentation, then they and once they realize the value that you deliver with your offering, they might be happy that you charge only the price you charge. So that's what goes through the heads of the clients. But also the very similar thoughts usually go through the heads of your sales team. Okay, and if you allow the sales team to think one-dimensionally, focusing on just price, they would not even internally be persuaded themselves that they should charge and they should go and ask client for the price you deserve, unless, again, they realize that with your offer, with your product, with the way you serve, with the way you deliver the product, this is so much value that they might even have the space to go up with the prices. Okay, so that's the first thing, is to differentiate between two ways of looking at pricing. One being one-dimensional, which I strongly suggest to not go for, and the other one being the two-dimensional, the one dimension being the pricing position, and the other being the valued dimension. Okay, and so that's pretty much the nutshell of why the value argumentation is needed. Okay, because again, you can, your product, your solution, your service, whatever you provide, you deliver to the client, we could illustrate or represent by let's say a box. Okay, and if you allow your client, especially the new client, but also the current client, to perceive your offering as a box, and similar box, or if not the same box as the box of the competition, then guess what? The only parameter that would differentiate, that will be different between your offer and the other alternative competitive offer would be what? Would be the price. And they would go for what? For the lower price. So if your box is for 100 and the alternative box is for 90, which one would they choose? Obviously, if they are rational, they would go for something cheaper. They would go for the box with the price of 90, right? That's very simple. Unless again you explain, you argument, and you present and make the client think that your box is not exactly the same box as the box of competition. Why? Because maybe in the box there is something else. So your product, your pump is maybe better, can hold higher pressure, might have better sealing, might have longer lifetime, whatever it is. So that might be with the product as such. And with the way you serve or you deliver the product to or solution to your client, there might be a difference as well. So again, this is the logistics element. This is the way you serve the clients in terms of flexibility. If you have this flexibility, that you are on time always, and so on and so on. So if you're with your box, there is something else. And I call it, I use this example quite often, that if you can provide with your whatever you offer with your box, an element, let's say, of the peace of mind, that's the different box, because that's the box with the peace of mind. And what does the peace of mind mean? That the client is sure that they will get in the box exactly what they needed, exactly according to the specification, exactly according to the requirements, exactly on time. And if they need to change something, adjust something, you are flexible with that, and they can always talk to you, and so on and so on. So they are being taken care of, and they can rest without any anxiety because of the way you deliver them your product or your service or your solution. Okay, and then if you have a box with a element of peace of mind and a simple box that you're not really sure that you get the level of quality in the boxes as you required, and maybe it does not always being delivered on time, and maybe next time the level of quality in the box is not exactly the same. So there is an element of, let's say, anxiety. So there is a different box. And that's exactly what you need, and you should explain, present, argument to your clients so that they don't treat your offering, or they don't say that this is the same box. Because again, if we have the same boxes, then the client will choose the cheaper one. So if we are talking about how to compare apples to apples, if your offering is different, make sure that the clients see it and then understand that you are different, that you are not offering exactly the same apple, that your apple might be different than the apple, and actually that might be not an apple, might be some other fruit, what your competition offers to your clients. So in practice, how to do that? And this is very interesting because, working with clients, various B2B companies, I see, and I really at times even admire the way and the how good and how professional they are with their products, the way they design the product, the way they deliver the products. Really professional, high standard, high level. But then when I see how they approach the value extraction, and that's actually the pricing elements, and also the related to that, this element of BA, benefit argumentation, this is usually weak or weaker. Okay, so how to make it as professional as the product, as the solution as such? There are three elements of the value. The first one is to understand the factors, the sources of the value. And here actually the 3D logic helps, because you will have the elements of value related to the product as such, and that's the product dimension. You will have the elements of value related to the product, the requirements of your client, the way you serve the client, the logistics elements, the service elements, the complaint managing element. All that, this is actually the client dimension, and linked to that the other dimension. So actually, once you have the logic, the properly designed logic, you should have captured those elements, and now the thing is to make sure that those elements get translated into the actual benefits. So then you need to somehow, if only possible, quantify what does it mean for the client. I will give you some examples in a minute. So first element is understanding the factors, the elements that generate the value. Then the second element is to quantify this, to measure the value, and then eventually to communicate the value to your client. If any of those three is missing, then actually most probably you will not be able to extract the value, meaning to get the price you deserve for your product you're offering. Okay, so again, the name of the game is the following. If we could illustrate this like a scale, on one side of the scale you have the price, and if that's heavy price, the high price, and on the other side you have the value and understanding of the value. If it's not big enough, not compared to not exactly the same, if not higher than the price, then the price would make the needle move to the decision of don't buy or don't buy from you, because then the client will decide. If the price is too high and the value does not justify the price, they will make one of the two decisions: don't buy or don't buy from you. And you don't want that, right? And what you want is that they make the decision to buy, and what's more important, to buy from you. So what is needed to put enough elements of value that would justify and that would make the needle to move into the direction of the decision. Yes, I, as your client or potential client, the future client, I make decision that this is good, this is enough value to buy this product, this solution, this service, and to buy it from you, because the total value I'm receiving from your offering is justifying that. And what are the elements of value? The elements of value actually, if I count properly, there are 6 sources or 6 areas where you can or your clients can get the value. So again, to summarizing this, in order to get high price, you need to provide the client with the high value argumentation. And where does the value come from? One source of value might be you can help your client generate more profit, and usually clients like, if not love, to have more profits. And how can you achieve that? Let's say if your product, if your solution, being a piece of machinery or line of production, is more efficient or can go quicker, so your client can produce more in the unit of time. So they can produce, sell, and make more money, more margin from the unit of time. So they can generate more profit, and they like it, okay? And that does not have to be the piece of machinery or the machine. It could be also, let's say, if you provide them with packaging, the corrugated paper packaging, and your packaging goes smoother through the machinery, it can go faster, run faster through the machinery. In the same, they can pack more stuff in the unit of time, that they can generate more profit. The second area where you can provide the value to your client is the cost. If your solution can allow the client to spare, to minimize, eliminate, maybe even eliminate some elements of cost. That's what they like. And how can you achieve that? If, for example, your product has a longer lifetime, or require less maintenance, or require less service, that's the elements that where they can spare the cost. The third element would be the quality. And what I mean by quality, for example, if we take this example of the packaging, if the quality of your packaging is higher, this is also the better marketing surface, the better marketing area where they can display whatever they offer to the final customers. So that's the quality, and the higher the quality, they usually like higher quality. The time element, similar to the cost, you can reduce the time of the resources at the client side. And for example, again, if your equipment, if your machinery, if your packaging is better quality and does not stop, does not cause any breaks in the production process, and does not require the service or maintenance, or less of that reduces the time of let's say the electricians, the mechanicians that work in the company, and that might be scarce resources. And if you reduce the time of those, they could utilize the time somewhere else and help the company in their day-to-day operation. Yet another element is the risk, and the risk is, it might be the risk related to, for example, anxiety whether your client will receive whatever they want to receive, being the product, the solution, the packaging, the bolts and nuts, the tools, whatever they buy from you, especially if they buy on in a repeated manner. So they want whatever you deliver exactly on time agreed. And if they don't receive that might be the risk, because if they don't get it, they might need to stop the production or make the pause, make the break, and then their clients, they would expect them to deliver on time, and that's the risk that they won't deliver to their clients on time. So they don't want that. They don't usually like that. And then eventually, the sixth element is related to the comfort and or even some emotions that could be this peace of mind element. But also, if you can provide the product that is easy to use, has the good UX, the way your people in your company use or operate the product is simply more comfortable. That's what is of a value, because your employees, for example, they like it better, and they might then prefer to work for you or for your clients, because you are using the products or the equipment that is simply more comfortable. And that's another piece of value. There is a lot of areas, a lot of points where you can explain, provide the value to your client. Just make sure that they see that, because if not, again, they might think the same box, price is lower, I'm go for the cheaper solution. Or if they realize that there is a lot of value from what you deliver, they might say, okay, I won't spare the money, and actually I would be even willing to pay even more that you want me to pay, because there is so much value in terms of additional profit, reduced costs, better quality, reduced time, reduce or eliminated risk, and also the element of comfort that I'm absolutely okay to pay for that. Okay, so now to also maybe illustrate that with a practical example, let me give you this practical example. Let's suppose, for the sake of this example, that you are offering the packaging in terms of the corrugated paper boxes, okay, and that's something you deliver to your client, and they pack in those boxes whatever they produce, being whatever juices or maybe sweets or whatever they produce, okay. And let's suppose, for the sake of this example, that such a box from the competitive offering costs €1.5 per item. It might not be, the exact figure, but just for the simplicity, let's assume that, okay? And you are offering the same or similar box for different price. And before I share and reveal the price, let me go through a potential explanation and argumentation of why your solution, why your offering is different, and why you provide different value. So assuming that this is the regular box, not the highest quality box, usually you have the box, but then you need to take into account, as your client, additional elements or pieces of cost related to the one of the element might be, because this is not the perfect quality. From time to time, it might cause the machinery, the packaging machinery to stop, and you have the downtime, okay? And it might be, a couple of minutes per shift, but if you then multiply that and then calculate that properly, that might mean that there is additional cents per box related to additional downtime. Next element might be, because there is downtime and the machine breaks, it requires additional maintenance, and that's maintenance costs related to that. And then again, if you do some simple math, it might happen that this additional cost, this is another, let's say in this example, 9 cents per box. And then guess what? Because your clients is not the other provider, the other supplier, it's not fully reliable. What the clients needs to do, he or she, they need to keep additional stock just in case. And for that additional stock, there is a cost related to that, and also the space in the factory, additional space, so that they can have the place to keep that stock. Again, an element of cost related to that. And maybe because of not the consistent quality of the boxes, the clients of the clients sometimes complain about that, and then this needs to be solved and replaced and so on. Again, there might be additional costs related to that. And let's count that now properly. What does that mean to go for the average quality, if not mediocre quality, of the box provided by some other suppliers? That's $1.50 per box, plus 11 cents for additional downtime, plus 9 cents for additional maintenance costs, plus 4 cents for additional increased stock or waste, and then additional 3 cents for complaint handling. So in total, that's like $1.77, right? And then what's the price of my solution, of my box? My box is very high quality. I'm reliable, always delivering on time, and my price is $1.65. So now you're comparing $1.65 not to $1.50, but to $1.77. And guess what? If the client realizes the difference, then they might say, oh, this is at first glance more expensive, but actually it provides better value, and it's in reality cheaper option than the other option that in absolute terms at first glance looks cheaper. Okay, so that's the practical way of doing that. Or you can do that in the other direction, to say, okay, if my price is $1.65, but I can reduce the cost, less complaints, less waste, less stock, lower maintenance costs, reduce times, downtime. So $1.65 minus all those elements, we arrive at $1.38, for example. Okay, compared to $1.50, so you are cheaper. So that's in a nutshell how it works and how you should be doing the value argumentation. Because if you don't do that, guess what? If the only argument in your relation, in your discussion, if you're in your meeting with the clients is the price, that this price will be always too high, and they will push and pressure you so long as you go down with the price and you match the competitive alternative offer, and you don't want that because you deserve better price if you provide enough value. And that's the final element of the pricing, magic pricing formula, BA. That's why we need this BA, benefit argumentation, value argumentation. So I strongly encourage you not to stop only on the 3D logic and two control mechanisms, and make sure that especially your salespeople, your sales force understands and provides this argumentation to your clients, because if you do that, then you might see the magic. And then the magic reads like 3D plus 2C plus BA. And that has been actually the final episode on this magic formula. That concludes this series of the podcast. But bear in mind, that's not all. So if you are still feeling that you would like to have more details, I suggest you contact me directly, or if you have enough inspiration that you would like to implement the magic pricing formula in your company, but you want some coaching or maybe some piece of advice, also you can contact me. Here you have my contacts details, my mail, my phone number, and then also follow me on LinkedIn, because having finished this series about pricing, magic pricing formula, I'm thinking about something else. What would that be? Let's maybe make it not a secret for now, but let me think it through. What could be additional or new interesting topic from the pricing space that I would like to share with you. So stay tuned, and that's all for today. Thank you very much, and see you again.